over here and plug it in because the power's low on it, so it doesn't need to charge. All right, well, Fitzroy is doing that. Let's do a review of last week. Are you keeping you awake? You're good? You guys can move up to the front if you want.
That's my seat.
First come, first serve. Seats
You know what? I will body check something.
You don't want to be body checked by help. Fitzroy's going to get that set up. Let's go through a quick review because some of you weren't here. And I think it's important.
I don't know.
I know it's important.
Okay.
Just really quick, Jeanette's teaching orientation, and Christopher's from if anybody needs to go to orientation.
Even if you were here, I think it's super important because most people don't understand this well enough. And understanding this, you have to understand these concepts before your fingers touch a keyboard and you begin to put together an illustration. Are we live in the desert, Fitzroy?
Yep.
Let's give a shout out to the desert. All right. You have to understand these concepts before you begin to do an illustration. And I really am not a fan of calling the product providers and telling them to put together an illustration for you. Number one, I think it's a waste of resources for them to do that. But number two, I just think like you're a professional, you need to learn how to do an illustration. If you don't know how to do one, then you get somebody to help you who's really good at them until you know. But when you put it in the hands of a product, I just want you to think about this. When you put it in the hands of a product provider who has never met with the client, they don't know the face, the story, the family behind the client. You're just giving them some numbers. Well, they're this old and this height and weight, and they can afford this much. Here, like, what makes you think that would be the best possible solution for the client? And if you were the client, is that what you would want your agent doing? Is just throwing it some meaningless $15 an hour worker just going to go, okay, here's an illustration that is completely not customized for you. I just think it's lazy, and I think it's a bad approach. I don't think we serve our clients very well when we do that. You can disagree. You can disagree vehemently when you have your own office and you're doing the training. That's my opinion, right? So, you've got to understand some basic concepts. The first concept is, are you going to set up the IUL or VUL as a level, option A. Some software programs, it's called level, some it's option A, or increasing option B. What's the difference? We went through this last time. I'm just going to go through it real quick because I don't have a lot of time. So level is, I'm buying $500,000 of death benefit. I'm not buying $500,000 of life insurance, and life insurance and death benefit do not mean the same thing. They're not synonyms. They're similar, but they're not the same, okay? So in this case, I'm buying $500,000 of death benefit. My cash value plus my insurance equals my death benefit. My cash value plus my life insurance equals my death benefit. So if I'm 15 years in and I've got $100,000 of cash value at that point, I'm buying $400,000 of life insurance for a total death benefit of $500,000. Day one, I've got $0 of cash value, so I'm buying $500,000 of life insurance plus zero cash value to equal $500,000 of death benefit. Does everybody understand that? Really important.
Yes.
Okay. When we buy permanent life insurance, if I bought permanent life insurance today, I'm buying it based on my age and my health today, including my driver record, my Department of Justice record, all that sort of stuff. So whatever my rating is, I'm 52. Next year, I own the same policy, I'm 53. My cost per unit is going to go up because I'm a year older. They're still going to rate me at that same rating I was at 52, regardless of what changes about my health, but my costs go up because I'm a year older. When I'm 54, my costs go up. When I'm 55, my costs go up. Every year in a permanent life insurance policy, the costs per unit go up. What's a unit? $1,000 of death benefit. $1,000 of insurance, really. $1,000 of insurance is a unit. So each year my cost per unit goes up. So with a level or an option A, I'm buying, as my cash value goes up, I'm buying fewer and fewer units. So my cost of insurance goes down, or stays the same, or doesn't go up as fast. And if you look at an illustration, we're probably going to have to go into a third Saturday to really look into illustrations in detail. You'll see that the costs go up slow, sometimes they'll plateau, sometimes they'll go down a little, based on the growth of the cash value. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
This is the English speaking group?
Yes.
Make sure. Okay. Increasing, or what sometimes is called option B, I'm buying not $500,000 of death benefit, I'm buying $500,000 of life insurance for the entirety of the plan. But once again, the formula is my cash value plus my life insurance equals my death benefit. Repeat after me. My
Cash value
plus
life insurance
equals
life benefit.
Okay, now this time just the desert. Desert, my
Wow.
plus my
Wow.
equals my excellent. Okay. We have a heavy mime and mute population in the desert office. So here I'm buying $500,000 of life insurance. Day one, I'm buying $500,000 of life insurance. I have zero cash value. So cash value plus life insurance equals death benefit. Let's say once again, 15 years in, I've got $100K of cash value here. I'm still buying $500,000 of life insurance. So that's $500,000 of life insurance plus my $100,000 of cash value equals a $600,000 death benefit. Everybody clear on that? It's really important that you understand these before you try to do an illustration. Okay. So, which is the right kind of policy to sell to a client? A level option A or an increasing option B?
Depends on the situation.
Depends on the situation. So what kinds of situation might we look at a level or an option A?
Someone who's older, when they're getting a policy in place, and, you know, their cash value is not ever really gonna even reach 500,000, or like the level of the death benefit, and you wanna keep their costs down, so their cash value can grow, but
So typically, yes, good. Somebody who's typically older is probably, or somebody whose income we don't expect to really increase a great deal over a period of time. Who's going to pretty consistently fund it. They're going to start at $300 a month. They're probably never going to put more in. Then oftentimes we want to consider a level or an option A first. Okay. When do we want to consider an increase in our option B? It's typically somebody who's younger, maybe they're 25, 30, 35 years old. Somebody who we expect over the course of the next 10, 15, 25 years their income is going to increase over time, right? That they're going to continue to fund it more and more. Then oftentimes we want to do this, okay? If we do an increasing for somebody my age, for example, is 52, well, if I'm setting this up for 52 to 65 and I'm going to retire at 65, I'm not going to be able to put that much money in it. It's not going to compound that much. It's only 13 years. So for me to have an increase in my costs, every year on an increase in your costs are going to go up. Why? Because every year I'm buying the same amount of insurance, but I'm a year older, so my cost per unit goes up. So every year the cost goes up in this, where it doesn't go up as rapidly in this. Everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Any questions?
So, you say your cost per unit.
Michelle?
You say cost per unit, are you talking about the premium or just the cost per unit inside the policy? Like does the premium increase every year?
Not the premium for the client, no, but the cost per $1,000 of insurance. So, it's a good question. So, let's say, for example, I'm putting in $400 a month. Toss.
oh, I just opened it, so.
I see, yeah, okay, yeah. So let's say I'm putting in $400 a month, and $200 a month is my cost of insurance, and $200 a month is the part that's going to the savings, right? So 50 cents out of every dollar is going to cash value, right? 50 cents out of every dollar is going to the cost. Now let's say a year later, the cost per unit is going up, right? So then all of a sudden maybe $205 a month is going to my cost of insurance, and $195 is going towards my cash value. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So my premium didn't change, but how my premium's distributed did change. Andy, you look confused.
No.
Oh, okay, it's just a,
These are annual renewable terms?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the way most permanent life insurance products you're gonna see are structured as annual renewable term. And that's the way the cost factor works, yeah, good. Any other questions? No? It's okay to have questions.
So that happens every year for level option A. That's premium is $400 a month, but how you describe 205 plus cash value of 195. That'll change every year.
Yes, and we'll see that when we actually get into illustrations. What I'm gonna show you today is how we begin to structure the illustrations, and then what what we'll probably do the following Saturday is we'll actually get in the weeds and compare the numbers in the illustrations to see how they differ, okay? But it's important that you understand these before you start creating an illustration. Now, we do have an option too, where we can do increasing for a period of time, and then it goes to level. So you can set it up where it goes increasing for a period of time, and then it goes level at age 70. Or you can do it increasing for a period of time, then you can check a box that says reduce face amount at earliest option. Why would we want to do either one of these? Ron?
Reduce needs.
Reduce needs, okay, good, John?
Reduce cost.
Reduce costs. So let's say Isaiah's 35. It's probably not, but let's say he's 35. And we expect him to earn more money between the time he goes 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65 that he's funding this. So he's starting off at $300 a month, but we want to give him enough room to go in 2 years to $450, and 2 years after that to $600, and ultimately he's going to be putting $1,200 a month in it 15 years from now, right? So increasing, because he's buying $500,000 of life insurance, and the cash of value is on top of it, gives him a bigger bucket, so he can put more money into it. But at a certain point, we're like, he's going to stop funding it. And what he's setting this up for is he wants permanent insurance, but he wants to max out the cash value. So this gives him a lot of room to put a lot of cash into it, and then at a certain point in the future, whether it's age 70 or at the earliest that the software determines it makes sense for him, it shifts from an increasing option B to a level option A. And so at that point, he literally starts buying less and less insurance as his cash value continues to grow. And it's a way to make it more cost effective. When the insurance is really starting to become expensive, whether it's reduced at earliest or at age 70, when it's really becoming the most expensive per unit, he's buying less and less of it. Up until then, he's buying the same amount so that he can jam as much cash in there. So the difference really we used this example the other day. The difference really is an option B increasing creates a bigger bucket, the big blue bucket where you can put more cash into it. And option A is less insurance, which means it's less expensive, but it also creates a smaller bucket. Option B, bigger bucket, but also that means you're buying more insurance, which also means it's going to be more expensive. So that can drag on your cash value. Okay? More insurance equals more cash that you can put in. But part of our role is to figure out, realistically in the future, how much will they put in it? It doesn't mean anything if you give them a huge bucket and they're never going to fill it up, either because behaviorally they're not inclined to, or because income-wise they're not likely to.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, everybody with me?
Yes.
Excuse me, the size of the bucket, now that's like, death benefit, the amount of death benefit determined.
Yes, but when I talk about size of bucket, what I'm really talking about is how much cash I can put in.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question is when you're talking about the size of the bucket, are you talking about the amount of death benefit? Yes, the size of the death benefit is going to be affected by the size of the bucket, but when we talk a size of bucket, what we're really talking about is how much cash can I put in? In other words, is Isaiah going to be capped at $400 a month? He's starting at 300 a month, but is he gonna be capped at 4 or 450 because it's an option A level? But if I make it an option B increasing, he might be able to get to $1,000 or $1,200 a month. That's a bigger bucket. If he can put $1,000 a month into it, that's a bigger bucket. He can save more long term. Does that make sense?
Okay, and that bucket is determined by the IRS, or you just generalizing and you say bucket, which you put in?
Well, we're determining the size of the bucket whether we choose option A level or option B increasing. The IRS has predetermined, and it's built into the software programs, what's the max you can put into it. You'll see that with guideline level premium or max or whatever the case might be.
That's when you go in, once you overflow the bucket, that's when you go into MEC. And
Correct.
that's when you start getting taxed.
Right. So we've always got, these illustrations always have restrictions in it, so it can't go to a MEC. So it lets you know, like, you can't put more than this into it. So the most important thing we want to do with the client is understand in advance what's the goal. Are we trying to create the maximum amount of cash value at retirement? Are we trying to create the maximum amount of life insurance until death? Are we trying to guarantee that they have permanent life insurance? Because there's a no lapse guarantee, an NLG box that you can check on these, which guarantees as long as they make the premium, regardless of what happens in the indexed account or the sub-accounts on a variable universal life, that the policy won't lapse. But the costs are a little bit higher when you check the box. So it's going to be a drag on cash value, but it's going to guarantee that the policy won't lapse. John?
Is it a general rule that the bigger the death benefit, the bigger the bucket?
Yes. Yes.
So if they want a bigger bucket, you up the death benefit, that allows them to put more cash in.
But there's two, yes. So
Yes to what?
John's question is good, very good. Here's what his question is. I want to be clear about this for everybody. John's question is the general rule that we said here, a bigger bucket means more insurance. Yes, but I want you to see how this plays out as it relates to option A and option B. Here, the amount of insurance on an option A I'm buying is getting smaller and smaller every year. Same amount of death benefit, $500,000, but less insurance every year as I have more cash value. Here, I'm buying the same amount of insurance for all these years, and the cash value is stacked up on top. So where I'm starting out with a $500,000 bucket on each, $500,000 of insurance on each, a year in, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years in, this bucket, the amount of insurance I'm buying is getting smaller, while the death benefit remains the same. Here, the amount of insurance I'm buying remains the same, while the death benefit keeps getting bigger as I get more and more cash value. Here, the death benefit remains the same. Here, the amount of insurance remains the same. Remember, insurance and death benefit are not the same, right? It's cash value plus insurance that equals death benefit. Here, the death benefit does not change, but the amount of insurance I'm buying does. Cash value plus life insurance equals death benefit. Here, the amount of life insurance I'm buying does not change, but the death benefit does.
And
Does that
as you
make
said,
sense?
yeah, life insurance determines the size of your bucket.
Yes. So you
If
sort of
buy
have to.
less, your bucket shrinks. If you buy the same amount of insurance, life insurance over the thing with the increasing, your bucket stays huge.
Yes. So you almost have to say those statements that I just said like 20 or 25 or 30 times for them to make sense, because they sound so similar, but they don't mean the same thing.
So can you say one more time?
Yeah, so the formula, yes, the formula is always, say it with me, cash value plus life insurance equals death benefit. That's always the formula. In this case, the death benefit remains the same,
The death benefit remains the same.
while I'm buying less and less insurance.
While I'm buying less and less insurance.
In this case, the life insurance remains the same,
In that case, the life insurance remains the same,
while the death benefit gets bigger and bigger.
as the death benefit gets bigger and bigger.
Sometimes, like, you just gotta say it a number of times and hear yourself say it before it just sort of go click, right? I know I did, like, it didn't take me 2 minutes.
Now, with option A, let's say that 10 years down, 20 years down the road, you want to take some money out of cash value. What does that do to the death benefit?
So if you take out some cash value, then that following year, the policy is gonna force you to buy some more insurance
So you're going, the cost of the insurance will go up.
at that point.
At that point, your death benefit on the statement will remain the same, but the insurance cost that you're paying to get the additional coverage will go up.
Correct.
So in a level instance like Steve is saying, you might wanna take a close look at the no lapse guarantee, right? Because if they're taking withdrawals from their cash value in a retirement kind of a situation, not so much paying premiums, and the policy is designed where the level way, you've gotta buy some insurance with the no lapse, that would be an instance where no lapse guarantee would be,
Here's
Yeah.
really where I look at the no lapse guarantee, that's a good question. Where do we look at the no lapse guarantee? Typically, I look at no lapse guarantee with older clients, like myself, like in their 50s, that the most important thing to them is that they have permanent life insurance. Maybe they're at 45, and so there is enough time to fund it to sort of supplement their retirement. It's not gonna be the biggest bucket that they pull from in retirement, but the most important thing is we wanna make sure they have insurance in place. If insurance is more important than cash value, I'm gonna check this box.
okay.
I may also look to a universal life policy. I know that's like the Antichrist in WFG, but universal life policies provide permanent insurance and they do it very, very well. So at times I'll actually look to that.
For the older clients you talked about?
Yeah, like your age. Yeah.
Hey, Christopher, just for clarification, like for instance, on the IUL, like for instance, if they take cash out of the IUL, down the road, that doesn't do anything to the death benefit. It
You know what,
remains the same?
we'll get into the illustrations and you'll see. So what I wanna show you sort of what I'm gonna show you next is here's the variables that we're playing with, and I wanna get on the laptop and just bang away at it as long as I can, and you guys will see what it does up here, okay?
Okay.
So, I think that's really the best way to get through somebody, sometimes like a picture's worth 1,000 words. So let me share with you one more thing, this is what I'm gonna be playing with over there on the laptop. So we've got name, age, gender. I imagine soon we're gonna have like 12 choices here. Right, but right now we just have 2. Risk class, if you're not sure, here's the questions I always ask on the data collect about risk class. Are you healthy as a horse, fit as a fiddle? That's like sort of a cute way of talking about something that sometimes people aren't excited to talk about, right? Are you healthy as a horse, fit as a fiddle? Do you take any kind of medications for like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or any other types of medications? And then they just sort of let me know. And that gives me an idea, because you can look at somebody, and they can look healthy as a horse and be on tons of meds,
Right.
right? Or have a bad health history, so you don't want to assume those things. So, if you're not sure, once you get an understanding of the meds, or you know what their height weight is, you call the underwriter and say, can you give me a best guess as to how I should field underwrite this? When you say field underwrite, what they know is that you're not holding their feet to the fire like this is the way they're going to permanently rate the person. Just gives you an idea for illustration purposes. Okay, we don't do anything here.
Christopher?
Yes.
On the risk class, you also, if you're comparing several different providers, you wanna make sure you're rating them the same, cause some providers will have 3 options for, non-tobacco and some will have 4. So you wanna make sure you're comparing apples to apples, so they're all the same risk class.
Yes. Yes. Does that make sense? So, one may have standard, then preferred, then super preferred. Another may have standard, then like standard preferred, then like standard super preferred, then like standard ultra preferred. They just have more rate classes. So you want to make sure it's sort of an apples to apples when you're comparing different companies. You choose the product version, then we don't do anything with this. Okay. So here's the big buttons I'm playing with. I want to show you what I'm trying to achieve here. Then we're going to get into it. There is, let me switch over here real quickly. I'm gonna have to. Let me switch screens. Please wait. Okay. So I'm gonna put in 500,000. I'm gonna go, 500,000, so. Okay. Just give these back, I'll just start to get through really quickly. So, here's what I want to share with you guys. Some big differences that I look at, and I want to get you clear on sort of my mindset or psychology. So, a lot of my permanent policies are $250,000 face coverage or $500,000. $500,000 is probably the one that I do the most often for a long-term permanent need, and then I stack on top of it a ton of term insurance for the short-term dependency years. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you use a long-term permanent policy for permanent coverage and to supplement savings long-term for retirement. And I use a whole bunch of the cheap term stuff, whether it's $750,000, another million, another $1.5 million of term when they have kids in the home and it's a highly dependent period of time, right? So, I will almost always, depending on the, once again, if they're in their 50s and I don't see a lot of upside in their income, that's different. But people that are younger, what we're trying to do is get them to begin a savings plan and to increase that habit over time. In other words, imagine if you started exercising today and your exercise program you started at was a 1 mile jog. And you continued a 1 mile jog 5 days a week for the next 20 years. Like most people wouldn't do that, right? They'd start at a mile, but then like 3 months in, maybe they're at 3 miles, and maybe 6 months in, they're at 5 miles. So like they'd increase over time. That's the way we do things, right? And so I try and encourage people to do the same thing. I think if you start out at $300 a month, like years 1, 2, and 3, see how I go 1 to 3? Then to go up another $150 in your 4th year, like 40 years from now, another $150 a month, like as we come up with plans to pay down your debt as your income increases, that should be doable. That's not a big leap, right? So we go to $450 a month, and what we give them 3 years at that. Then we jump up another $150 a month for 3 years at that, and then we go up another $150 a month to $750 10 years from now, which I think the client was 35, and we're going to do that all the way to age 69. Most of my illustrations and most of my policies, I fund to age 69 and start withdrawals at age 70. Why?
Because
Why?
their insurance needs is already decreasing. All their debt, all their house is already paid off, so their needs of insurance is already decreasing.
Okay, good. Why else might I do it that way, John?
Because the Social Security, they can rely on the 401k and stuff till then, and then they start taking distributions at 70, get a bigger amount every month.
Yes, so, very good. So, there's typically 3 buckets, sometimes 4 that they're pulling from. One is their IRA or their 401k here, right? One is Social Security, and one is IUL. Sometimes they have one called a pension. My basic strategy usually is let's take your IRA or your 401k and pull money out of there first. So if you're retired at 60 or 62 or 65, let's pull money out of there first. Why?
Because your taxes and the likelihood, like, you may still have the last bits of your mortgage. There's some things you can write off, and taxes only go up. So let's.
Okay,
Because
excellent.
that's
So,
the taxable bucket, so
Yes.
you're gonna pay more, if you let it grow, you're gonna pay more taxes in the long run.
yes, both are right. So this bucket, I'm going to pay income taxes at distribution. So do I want to, if it's like penny seed, $1 million harvest, do I want to pull money out early while it's only this big, or do I want to wait till it gets even bigger and start pulling money out to pay taxes? Because I've got 3 buckets and all of them are going to grow. This one I'm going to pay taxes on, so I want to access it faster to minimize how much I'm going to be paying taxes on income in retirement. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2, like Hope said, it's more likely early in retirement that there may be legitimate tax deductions that I have, like the last 10 years of my mortgage, or some other business expenses that I can write off against this taxable income. My second pile of money then is, and here's another reason. it's also the most volatile of the three buckets, because it's in the market.
Right.
So it can go up or down. And at this point, I'm more likely to decrease the risk, and as a result, I'm more likely to decrease the rate at which it's going to grow. So I'm going to access 401ks or IRAs first. Social Security is probably next. Yes, I pay taxes on Social Security, but with each year that the client waits to withdraw, they're getting, in effect, a guaranteed 8% increase in their return, in their income that they'll receive. So if they can wait from 65 to, let's say they retire at 60, I'm pulling this money out first, IRA and 401ks, and paying taxes on it. This is so maybe I'm pulling $6,000 a month out of this. If I can wait till 65 with Social Security, in effect, this pile of money, my Social Security pile, grew by 8% from age 60 to 65. That's more aggressive than I probably would have had this pile of money invested.
Right.
At 60, you're not aiming for an 8% rate of return in equities-based products. You're just not. You're aiming for 4, right? So I'm getting 8% here, so I'll hold off on this because I get the guaranteed growth even though I'm paying taxes. Now when I start pulling off of this at 65, maybe I'm getting $2,000 a month here, so I can decrease. I was pulling $6,000 a month out of this at age 60. Now I can decrease this to maybe $4,000 a month at age 65 because I've got $2,000 a month coming out of Social Security. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Then I can wait on this till I'm 70. Why do I wait on the IUL till I'm 70? Number one, I'm not going to pay taxes on income. So I want that one to grow the biggest. Because it doesn't matter how big it grows, I'm never going to pay taxes on it. Right? Number one. Number two, because it's an indexed account, I'm not at risk. I'm not subject to market risk. I'm not going to lose any of my equity. I'm not going to lose any of my principal. So I can sort of invest this more aggressively, choose the more aggressive indexes because I'm not risking anything and I don't have to pay taxes. I don't pull from all three of these equally and all at the same time when I'm setting up retirement for a client, okay? So that's the reason that I'm always setting it up for distribution at age 70 and I'm funding it to 69. Can I also concede one other point?
Please.
In fairness,
Please.
the policy works better when I let it grow to 70.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's going to compound and it's going to get even bigger and create a bigger income stream. So technically it's better for the client, but it also visually looks better, right? But that's not the reason I'm doing it. The reason I'm doing it is because this is actually the way I want the client to draw the money because it makes the most sense for them. It also makes the most sense for me and my money. So up here we have the total face amount. It's a $500,000 policy. Right now I have it set up as a level, okay? I checked reduce face. The computer's going to reduce the face at the earliest time period. So this is designed as an this is the most cost effective I can make it, is level, reduce face at the earliest. It's not going to give the client as much life insurance or as much death benefit in retirement, but it'll max out the cash value that builds up and the cost effectiveness of building up that cash value. I'm going to spend as little as I can on insurance and generate as much as I can in cash value by setting it up this way. Does everybody understand why?
Yes.
Because option A, or level, I'm buying less insurance, right? And then if I do reduce face and reduce face at the earliest, I'm buying even less insurance as early as I can. Even less insurance. Which is allowing me to max out the cash value, okay? Right now I've been set up as $500,000 of basic coverage and $500,000 of ARTR. This is going to, I want you to listen to me on this, this is really important. Base coverage is the most expensive kind of insurance up here. It generates the most points for promotions and contests. It generates the most commissions for me. Many agents you'll meet only do this. I'm not working at a discount. It's not my fault the client's waiting too long to save for retirement. It's not my fault that they don't have enough money to save. My job is to work with what they give me. So many agents only do this. Yes, John?
And then I see my other people in the industry come along behind us and eat those policies up.
I rarely see that. In 19 years.
No, if they're not funded to get the best interest for the client, if it's only about commissions.
Yeah, I honestly, in 19 years, I rarely see that, and even an agent that tries to, like, in most cases, because of the surrender period, the client's gotta wait 10 years, sometimes longer, to even be able to make a change if they want to.
Tell me how you will.
What?
I don't know how you will.
Sure. Because the cash value versus the surrender value, there's just, if they make a change, it's gonna cost them a fortune.
Unless they max fund it right off the bat.
Yeah.
I'll talk. There's a couple of specific instances I'd like to go over.
Yeah. I just rarely see that. Most clients that know, most agents I talk to don't know, like they're never taught, and so they just
Wiggle the mouse.
automatically do it this way. Now, some of you might suggest that's wrong to do. Oh, well, how could you do that when you can blend it, make it less expensive for the client, right? To which I would say, you go to work this week and your boss decides that to benefit the customers of your business, that your boss is going to start paying you half of your hourly rate. Is that okay with you? Well, why not? It's better for the clients. The clients will get your product or service at a lower cost. If the bosses just pay you half your normal wage, why isn't that fair? It's better for the client.
Silence fell.
Yeah, yeah. So I want, like, some people in our industry are inclined to like give away the farm and work for in as expensively as they can, but you wouldn't even do that at your day job. It's like you don't value your time or the amount of energy that you're putting into or your expertise in helping the client. So I'm not advocating giving it away for free, but I'm going to show you exactly what I do. So this is the most expensive way to do it. Here's what I look for. We're going to run it real quick, and then I'm going to do it the cheapest, then we're going to do it in the middle. When I run it, I always run it all base coverage first. Max it out. Here's what I want to see. What is the income distribution at age 65 or 70? So how much income per year are they going to get whenever we start distributions? Then I want to see what's the minimum that they can put into the policy monthly based on the way I set it up. What's the maximum monthly that you can put into the policy based on the way I set it up. And then what's the target premium based on the way I set it up. Because that's going to determine points and comp. So let's just see real quick. All right, this is a 35-year-old male. I think he's super preferred. You see the schedule here. Now notice this, did you guys notice the schedule there? Because it's probably not going to let me put in all this money. I've got it going up to $750 a month. I bet it doesn't let me put all that much money in. But let's see. So real quick, indexed accounts, we're not going to mess with that a lot. Let's just go 100% here, because these policies have been averaging over 8%, so I feel comfortable. You know what, let's just leave it the way it was. So we'll just leave it right here at 100%, at the 7.5, because they've been averaging over 8. Distribution, I need to do solve, watch. Solve, and then I set this up withdrawals first, and then standard loan second. Starting at age 70, that means age 70, and going through age 90. I always do 20 years of distributions.
Even if you know that their family lives to 95, 100?
I typically do to 90, yeah.
Okay.
I typically do to 90. Distribution mode, annual. I don't do it monthly. And I just don't touch any of this stuff. This is all just okay? Riders. Natalie and Michelle taught about riders on Wednesday. We're not going to mess with that. Policy details, don't mess with that. Output design, this is really important. I always go down here, additional reports, analysis of charges. I always want to see the analysis of charges, and I personally always want to show the client the analysis of charges. I want them to see all of the charges. That's how I present. I want them to see all the charges. I know that sounds crazy. Actually, let's go to okay, there. So what happened?
You're starting out putting too much money into it or something.
Any other guesses?
Or you're not enough. It's
Not
like
enough.
lapsing, so that means not enough.
Not enough money is going in. So the policy lapsed basically year one.
It means you
Okay.
don't need the minimum.
So let's go to, preview here. Chewing. Unbelievably fast. One of the reasons that I prefer Pacific Life is because of the speed of these illustrations. I want to have a seatbelt on so you don't get whiplash. Okay, there's Joe. My glasses on.
Try to get to your cost page,
Yeah.
keep going. Oh, there's your,
Okay, so there's the guideline, look, oh, I got mine over here, thank you. I just should have kept them on me. So here's the guideline level premium, right? 68.28, so make a note of that. 68, guideline level premium, 68.28, okay? Because we want to compare as we move up and down. Have a little box down on the left-hand corner that will just give me all this information. I don't know if I need to run it differently when you get that box.
I think you just need to change your screen ratio.
Screen ratio. I think it's when you do it online.
Oh yeah, online you don't put that box. That's why I hate online.
Okay, so here we go. This is the stuff that you want to track. So we've got initial minimum premium is what? $39.75. So the min is $39.75. And we're trying to put $300 a month in it, which is $3,600. So we're about $35 a month short, right? Guideline level premium is $68.28, right? What else? It's not building any income is zero because it never makes it, right? Guideline level, the max we can put in there is $68.28. So I want you to think about that. The min is $39.75. What's $39.75 divided by 12?
$331 and change.
$331 a month. Okay, is the minimum I'd have to put in $68.28 divided by 12?
$569.
$569. So what did you learn about the bucket?
It's not that big.
It's a pretty small bucket and it's limited in range. What I always want is a minimum that the client can, like, no matter what, I know they can always afford this so it doesn't lapse on them. I don't care if it lapses during the surrender period about my commissions. I want them to keep this long term. That's the only way it works for them. So I just want a minimum that they can always be able to afford no matter what. But I want a maximum that's going to allow them to grow in it. That's not big enough. I think Joe's going to be able to fund it more than this. Okay? So what I'm going to do now, watch, is just the opposite. I did the most expensive for me, highest commissions, highest points. Now I'm going to bring it all the way down to the bottom. Oh, by the way, what's target? Target is 67.65. 67.65 is target. What does that mean?
It basically needs to max fund it for you to get paid.
Yes, so target is where I get paid. That's where you get points for contests and promotions. So let's watch how all three of these numbers change when now I discount at the max. So I'm just going to, how do I discount at the max? Let's go back to death benefit. Right? And see where it says total face amount, 500,000, basic coverage, I'm gonna go minimum. ARTR is gonna go fill in or maximum, right? That's the only thing I'm gonna change. Calculate. Michelle, online, it should be showing me that, right down to this path.
Yeah.
Okay, now watch. So we had it designed, can I sneak through here?
Yep.
We had it designed to go up to 750 a month. How much would 750 a month times 12 be? 7,084.
9,000.
87, what?
9,000.
9,000. So it's designed to go to 9,000, but it's only fitting 6252. Okay, so let's look at the numbers on this bad boy on the far extreme over here. Okay. By the way, see where it says income? Here's a couple of things that I always want to look at. So the income is what? 50,868, right? 50,868. That's going to be the max income for this client. Income. But here's the other thing I always like to look at too, is how much of their own money did they put in? So over the course of 33 years, they put in $206,000, right? 206,318 of their own money over 33 years. And then I like to see, what did they pull out of it? So let's see how much they pulled out of it. What did they pull out of it?
861.
861,910. 861,910. So what kind of a return on that was that on their money? 4 to 1.
4 to 1. That's
Now
good.
keep in mind, was all that 206,000 they put in there, did all that go to savings and cash value?
No.
Hell no.
Well, and even if.
A bunch with the insurance and fees and all the stuff that they complain about, right?
Yeah.
They still like, so here's the deal. How many of you, if I pulled out a $100 bill of Benjamin out of my pocket, would give me 25 bucks in exchange for it? John would, okay, a couple people would. What if I let you give me the 25 in an installment plan? You don't have to give it to me all at once. Give me like $1 a month for the next 25 months, but then, right? That's like a no-brainer, right? That's exactly what happened here for them for a distribution of $50,000 a month.
And there's still $111,000 to leave to their peoples.
To the peoples. Ideally, when you got an agent that does you this good, it should be to the agents. Right? That's who the people should be. So let's take a quick look at. Let's take a quick look at the
My
map.
peeps.
Oh, boy, there it was for me too. Why'd that go away? Take a quick look at the min, the max, the guaranteed, and all that. Oh, did you just pass it? Is that it?
No.
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 Keep going. You're just racing around there, sir.
Sorry, I got a very sensitive mouse track there. That's it. Too far this way.
Yeah, because you're on page 18. It's doing.
Look at that. Which changes the number of illustrations now. Like 1 through 5, then 1 through 4, then 1 through 10, then 1 through 18. Start numbering over by sections.
There you go. Almost. Next page.
Next page says home.
There you go.
Winner, winner. Dinner.
37.
Okay.
Chicken dinner.
So, what do we have here? Target premium is 1127. Who's excited about working for 1127?
Crickets.
Yeah, come on, I thought you wanted to do the right thing for the client, right?
Right.
Like, think about it. You're driving there doing an ASAP, driving back doing the data collect, then you're doing the illustrations, calling the product providers, then you're driving back, putting together all the materials, doing a presentation, doing a close, filling out the apps, then you're coming back doing underwriting, then you're delivering the policy. You don't want to do all that for 1127?
we figured it's 10 hours, that's 110 or 112 points
If you're on
an
a
hour
100%
on a
contract.
100% contract.
Yeah, which
And
you're
don't
not
forget
on.
you're splitting it because you have a trainee with you.
Yeah, guideline, okay, so what's the min and the max? So the initial minimum is 1477, divide that for me,
123.
123 a month, right? 1427 a year.
This
What,
is stupid, but how can minimum be
What's-
higher than target?
what,
Like,
it can be. What's the guideline level? 6252 divided by 12?
521.
521. So, note, and this is GLP. So notice, when I went max for me, they need to put 331 a month in, minimum. The most they can grow to is 569. When I put back worst for me, best for the client, they now can fund this with only $123 a month, but the most it can go up to is 521. A little bit less than the 569, but I've created a bigger range on the bucket, even though the overall bucket's a little bit smaller. Does everybody see that? Yes? Yes? Here, I wasn't funded enough, so there was no income. Here, I'm getting $50,000 a year out. I build up a total of $861,000 that I'm able to access and use, right? My target here is $11.27, so here I'm paid 20 cents compared to for every dollar that I am over here. Okay, so now what I'm going to show you is now let's go right in the middle. Let's go right in the middle and see how that looks, okay? You guys curious?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Sure.
So let's go right in the middle. We go back to what? Death benefit and premium. I go here, the base coverage instead of being minimum, I'm going to go 250,000 and everything else will stay the same. Now, when I say minimum here and maximum here, minimum is always, so if I do minimum and maximum, this would be 75% ARTR, the cheap stuff, annual renewable term, 25% of the permanent, or what's called base coverage, the expensive stuff. That would be the max that I could do over here for the client, right? The max I could do over here is 100% base, no ARTR.
right.
So I usually go 50-50 then I'll probably do 75-25. I already did 75-25 over here. And get a feel for where's it fair. Let's take a look. My personal philosophy is I want to create a win-win. A win-win for me and for the client. And let's just jam the red marker in my eye. That would have been above average. So now look, isn't this interesting? How much did the cash value change for them per year? The income.
Less than 1,000, or about 1,600, so maybe.
Yeah.
That's not a big difference, is it? So it's
No.
like, did I really gouge them? But all of a sudden making it 50-50. I didn't, did I? So let's go with the different, so we can just sort of see. So all of a sudden my income went to 49,636 or something like that?
363.
363. 363. How much money am I able to put into it? Before it was 206,000. This time I put 213. So they didn't, like, they put in $7,000 more and they're taking out $1,000 less per year. Like, believe me, I'm not feeling bad for them, right? At this point. Now let's take a look at the min, the max, the target, the GLP.
Page 47,
Page 47.
in theory.
In theory, according to my illustrious assistant, Vanna White.
You're not turning any letters.
I'll let you buy it out.
Thank you.
By a vowel. I could go a lot of places with that, but I'll choose not to.
That's so adult of you, Christopher.
You what?
I said, that's so adult of you.
Let's see, yeah. We're getting close. No. It's a lot faster when you're not running back and forth. There's a guy right level. You're just sitting at your desk or at your coffee shop or your kitchen table, hanging these bad boys out.
What's wrong with this? Come on.
Almost.
Next page.
Dun-dun.
Da-da-da-da-da. All right, so now the minimum is $24.76. What's that a month? Minimum.
206.
$206 a month minimum. $24.76 annually, right? The GLP guideline level premium was $68.42. That really hasn't moved much, has it?
Nope. 540 a month.
Okay, and the target is 33. What?
82.
82 target. So, so we can see now I'm half a full commission, right? I'm 3 times what this commission was with almost no negatives to the client. See how that works?
Yep.
What I'm trying to find is a win-win. How can I help the client achieve their goals as far as what they need from an income perspective? But to be honest, I still want to be paid fairly. If I'm not paid fairly by my clients, guess what? I won't be here a year or 2 years from now to service my clients because I won't be able to afford to be here.
Right.
They're not just paying me for what I'm doing today for them. This is where the majority of my income is going to come from servicing them the rest of my career. So I'm going to make one more adjustment. I'm going to bump it up to, now we're at 50-50. I'm going to bump it up to 75% of the base coverage, 25% of the ATR, and let's see how it changes, okay? By the way, I could do 60-40. I could do 70-30. Let's just bump it up. Let's bump it one more time and see how it changes it. What's that? 43 or whatever you said it would be? That's 2 of 6.
47.
Where does it say 47? I see 2 of 6 right there. Am I looking at the wrong thing?
Joe six-pack.
Oh, got it. Okay, so now we want to do 75-25, so this would be what?
You could-
375,
you could-
right?
You don't put percentage.
Or you could put 75%.
Okay.
But make sure you put the percent or it'll just put $75. I learned that mistake the hard way.
Let's calculate real quick. Real quick. Hello, Pacific Life. Once again, notice what happened to the income. Just went down a little, didn't it? We went from a max of $50,000 a year to $48,000 a year. At like 35 years from now, is $2,000 a year really going to be a big difference to them? In their income, I mean, come on. It's going to be 35 years from now, $2,000 a year is going to be a lot less of a difference than it is today, right? A lot less of a difference. They put in a little bit more of their own money here than they did at the best case scenario, right? $13,000 more over 33 years. And they're pulling out about $2,000 less. I just want you to see this. And then we're going to switch to option B increase, and you'll see how things change again. Let's go to preview. Output. And then up here. Is there a way I can just automatically go there?
Yeah, put the cursor where the 1 is.
Here's where the 1 is. There. Yes! Give it up for Michelle.
Yay.
We're gonna trade you next week. They accidentally touched the mouse. Don't touch a mouse. All right, so what do we have here? This is probably a home run right here. All right, so now, what did we say the income was here? 48,000, right?
Yeah, right.
48K, right? And they put in 219K of their own money. Oh, we didn't get the total on how much they pulled out. Did they? If somebody does 48K times 20, we'll have it.
960,000.
960,000.
Yeah.
So in this case, granted they put in $13,000 more, but look at this. Over time, they're look at how much they're pulling out. So if they put in 219 and they're pulling out 960, is that a good return on their money? Yes or no?
Heck yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the minimum here is 32.26. How much a month is that? Divide by 12.
268.
268 a month. The guideline level premium now is 66.65. So what's that per month?
554.
554 a month, right? And the target is 5,073. How many of you, there's not a right or wrong answer. How many of you, if you're sitting down with the client, you're doing the one for where you're getting paid target 1127 and they're pulling home 50 grand? How many of you are doing the one where you're getting paid target 67.65 and it lapses on them in year one? How many of you are going to do it where targets 3,380 and they're pulling out $49,000 a year? How many of you feel like maybe the best solution is somewhere right around 5,000 target and they're still pulling out 48,000?
Especially if they give a 300 bottom commitment.
Yeah. Do you see how I got there? So
Yeah.
I didn't just like send it, oh, WRL, figure it out for me, right? I didn't just randomly go all base. I played with the numbers. Now, if I'm sitting down at my laptop, how long does it take me to make these 3 adjustments? Because really it was 3 adjustments and record the numbers. 10 minutes, 12 minutes. It's pretty fast. I'm looking for the same things every time to compare. How much are they putting in? How much are they pulling out? What's the minimum they can put in? What's the maximum they can put in? What am I getting paid? I'm looking at those same things every single time running through. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you don't play with it several different times like that, you're not going to find what I'm always looking for is a sweet spot. I want to still get paid, but I want to max this out as best I can for the clients. Now, I've done this. Here's what else I'm going to do. I spend a little bit of time on illustrations. I don't run 100 of them, but I get pretty clear. Here's what I'll do next. We're going to go from, these are all level option A. What's the downside of level option A? The bucket is 268 to 559 a month, right? 331 to 569, 123 to 521. It's just, it doesn't have a lot of room for them to grow. It's a pretty confined bucket. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, it's allowing them to pull out a lot of cash because it's very cost efficient. When I hit increasing, they're going to be able to put more money in it, but it's going to be more expensive. So let's watch how this
Christopher,
works.
maybe we should do that next time because there's 5 minutes. You think we
5
can-
minutes? Let me just start.
5
You're
minutes.
right. You're right.
All right.
You're right. No, I have a hard deadline. Fitzroy's trying to help me, so give it up for Fitz. So I'm gonna let's go increasing. Let's not do reduce face. We're gonna go just the opposite. So this thing's gonna get big, okay? And I think on this I have to start at least 50%, don't I, Michelle?
Yeah.
Let's calculate. It won't let me do 100% base coverage on an increase.
Okay. I've had that happen.
That's why I started at 50. Whoop! What happens? Not enough money going in. Okay, so I'm going to have to dial it down some, or put more money in. So out of curiosity, let me just see if I just pump this up to 350 in the first year, these first 3 years, if that's enough to get it there, before I start monkeying around with it too much. let's go,
40.
let's go minimum. Find out what we got here. Okay. What happens?
It's,
That's at 33.
it's.
I'm able to put all the
paltry.
money in, aren't I? All the way up to $750 a month?
So you get to put in twice as much as you get to take out. That's opposite.
Yep, it's still annual too.
Yep,
So, can you see how clicking that one little button completely changed the outcome for the client?
yep. Yes.
They're going from level to increasing. Right? It's pretty crazy, huh? So let's keep it right there, but let's hit this reduced face.
And you didn't change it to level at 70, did you?
No, he just put increasing. He didn't do
Now I
the
just
schedule
clicked
yet.
it at reduced face earliest, okay? And let's see what happens here. But it still looks pretty pathetic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So, out of curiosity, let's take a look and see how this bad boy's looking. When we look at all the big numbers. It's 47?
47, yeah. And maybe a little bit different with increasing.
You had to go scooch up from 47, it might have been 46 or something. The bottom of the
You're
page
right.
up.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, so what do we have here? Target's only 3,000. Minimum's 3,000. Guideline level he can put up to almost 1,500 a month, right? But what's happening to the cost on it? The costs are eating it alive, right?
Yeah.
So we would need to massage this a bit more. Let's take a look at same client, right?
All right, everybody, say hello to the bad guy because Christopher, you gotta go.
I gotta go.
You have to go. I'll be the bad guy.
Any questions?
You do it well, Fitzroy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fitzroy. Any questions anybody has?
No
Look
question.
at this guy.
He's gotta go.
No, I really wanna thank you, Christopher, because there's stuff you've taught us in here that in the 3 years that I've been here, no one's, like your distribution from the IRA, Social Security first, never really heard that. Understood you could finagle things, but never heard about the sweet spot, so I like the homework that you do when you do minimum maximum, cause you feel like you earn it. You know what I'm saying, like you're really actually looking at, you're not just, throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing if your client.
No, because this is what you do for your own policy. This is what you do for your brother or sister's policy, and that's what I would expect you to do if I was your client. So it's about. I don't expect. like, I don't expect anybody that works for me, whether they're selling me a house or a car or doing a loan or some sort of other I'm not out to gouge them where they don't make any money. It's like a commodity type thing, I will. But if it's like somebody who's providing a service that's got a skill set behind it along with some sort of product, I want them to be paid fairly. I don't want them to resent the fact that they did business with me. I want to get the best, like, up front and after the fact. So
Because we are
price is important, but I want them to get paid. I don't want them to hit a home run on me. I don't want them to make, like, make their month's income on me, but I want them to be paid fairly. So we'll pick up where we left off right here with increasing and see how we can massage that and make an increasing work for the client at the same time, and how we can make it work for us too. So then we've got sort of two different ones to look at, okay? Here's what I really encourage you guys to do. Since we're working with Pack Life software these past 2 weeks, we'll do it again this Saturday. Spend some time just playing with the software. Do one up for yourself or a friend of yours that you know, okay, that my friend's this old, let me put together, I think they could save this much. Or an imaginary friend if you're one of those kind of people. Okay? But you spending time like moving the dials and seeing how it affects these key things that we talked about, you'll learn so much just by doing these few things and seeing how the numbers move as you change the dials. Now, by the way, if we went from a 35-year-old guy to a 45-year-old guy, they're not going to change necessarily in the same proportions. Right? $250,000 versus $500,000. So that's why you guys sort of play with it each time, okay? Hate to eat and run, but I've got a deadline and a big commitment. Give it up to Fitzroy, Desert. Love you. That's a wrap, baby.
All right, thanks, Christopher.
Thank you.